Hey guys, Patrick with Iron Rock Off-Road here. Today we're continuing on with our JT Gladiator video series. Today's focus is going to be on our new rear bolt-on long arm upgrade. Alright, now we're at the workbench here. We got our components kind of laid out here so we can go through those. First we'll start with our bolt-on bracket. Very heavy duty, very intricate. A lot of design time went into this to make sure that we're maximizing clearances and travel for the arms. It's made of 1/4-inch steel that is laser cut and CNC bent. Moving on to the control arms. The usual Iron Rock Off-Road beef here. Very large, very heavy duty. As always, we're going to be running a flex joint on one end and a Cleveite rubber bushing on the other. We've got these bends in the arms. This is a lower, so we're bending for tire clearance, ground clearance, everything like that. And one of our favorite features is no jam nut. We're going to be running clamping bolts on this arm. Very similar is going to be the upper control arm. Again, very beefy for an upper control arm. We're going to be running a clamping bolt up there, flex joint on one end, Cleveite rubber on the other, and you can kind of see this one has got a little bit more interesting of a bend, and being the upper, it does have to clear around the frame, so that's what we're getting out of that those bends. The lower control arm is going to be our 2-inch DOM 5/16 wall, and then the upper arm is going to be an 1 5/8 DOM with quarter wall. Alright guys, we've got the Jeep up on the hoist. We're getting ready to do the install of the long arms. Before we get too far, it's worth noting this Jeep's been doing great, sitting on our 5-inch springs, running the short arms in the rear. It's done very well. It's done to a lot of places, seen a lot of things, and we've been very happy with the performance, but there's no denying that going to a long arm is going to be an improvement. So you can see we've already kind of gotten started here. We've taken off the wheel and tire here. Now our primary focus when doing this install is going to be the frame brackets, the control arm mounts. The factory ones are going to have to go away. Now there's a few different methods to get these off. You know, choose whatever you have available to you. End result needs to be these removed, smoothed down, and making room for the new control arm brackets. All right, now I got the bracket in my hands here. We're getting ready to kind of mock things up. We are going to be reusing 2 of the bolts from the factory gas tank skid, and we will be utilizing this hole in the middle with a nut plate. Now, as we kind of hold it up, again, using those existing holes for the gas tank skid plate, we can use the bracket as a template of where we need to drill. All right, as you can see, we are utilizing a lot of factory holes here. Again, we've got the ones that are being used for the gas tank skid plate right from the factory. There's an access hole under here as well, and then the other one for the gas tank skid plate, as well as one of the outboard holes on the side there. Then we can kind of see that skid plate we showed you earlier, where we box this all in and make it nice and smooth. You can see it tabs in right there with the bracket, shares the lower control arm bolt in the bracket, and utilizes the factory hole in the side of the frame. Now the only drilling we have to do is going to be on the rear side of the bracket, outboard plane of the frame. Let's take just a second here to appreciate just how much longer the new long arms are going to be over the short arms. These long arms are going to give you a decreased operating angle, better ride quality on and off-road, and far better articulation. Let's get back to the install. All right, after using the bracket as a template for our, drilling our holes, we've got those marked. We've got them center punched, so let's start drilling. Next step, let's get some parts out of the way. We'll start with the lower control arm here. All right, move to the other side where we just finished cutting and painting. You can see where the control arm brackets have been removed. We did notch out this body mount a little bit here. Now we've got a fresh coat of paint on everything. Now we can start getting our hardware in place and bolting up that bracket. One of the first things we're going to do is start fishing the bolts through these 2 holes that we drilled through the outside plane here. All right, now what we're fishing through the frame here to bolt up that bracket on the outside plane is this bolt plate. We've got a bolt weld to do a little tab plate here, and to do that we have to use what we call a fish wire, and it's in the kit. It works very well. Still a little bit of a task to do, but very, very doable. I'm going to do it right now. All right, now we're going to go through this access hole that's already there from the factory. Put a couple of bends in this fish line to help guide it through once we get to our drilled hole. A little bit of light kind of helps us see where we're going with this. And we pop right through just like that. And then we're going to let that nut or bolt plate enter the frame. We're still connected with the threaded on fish line here, fish wire. And nice and easy. It does have a good hold, but we don't want to be too aggressive with it. And just give it a nice finessed wiggle, and we are through and ready for a bracket. All right, now that we got our 2 bolt plates fish wired through, we're ready to get the bracket on there. So we're going to start by simply threading the fish wire through the bracket. That way we're still maintaining control of them. And now this is where it might help if you got a buddy or something like that to help you kind of hold and finagle and make sure we don't lose things. But me, with my own 2 hands, I'm just going to carefully pull these through the bracket. So what we'll start with now that we've got these threaded through and started, just so you can free up your other hand here, we're going to get one of the 12mm bolts here and just get that started right through the pre-existing hole in the frame. And they are threaded on both sides, making it super, super easy. The bracket's on there, it's not going anywhere. Now we can focus on these trickier ones here. Again, we're just threading off this fish wire here, maintaining a little bit of side pressure on that nut bolt or that bolt plate so it doesn't slip out and go into the frame. Thread on our provided flange nylock nut, and we're started. All right, now the next thing we're going to do now that we've got these bolts in place is we're going to drop a nut plate into the frame so that we can get into the middle hole on the bottom plane. So we're going to end up going through that same access hole. We'll drop it in there and we'll get that bolt started. All right, and there it goes. So we got another nut plate here to go to our pre-existing hole that was in the frame there. So you're going to take this guy here. You're just going to loop it right in there, give it a little twist, match up the holes, and in we go with another bolt. Soup's easy. It's time to get the arms in there. We've already got the flex joint installed. You're going to note your bends. It's pretty obvious how this arm goes into place. So we'll start with the frame side. Get that slapped right up there. And we will put our provided bolt through. All right, now we're going to swing the axle end up here of the arm, and just a note that the bushing tube on the threaded male end is at an angle, so just want to make sure we're matching the angle of the control arm mount, and then we will just slide our factory bolt right through there. All right, we've got the upper install, so now it's time for the lower. We've already got it started in the bracket, so we're just going to go ahead and swing up the other end towards the axle, making sure that the bend is facing up. Now you might have noticed that we hadn't put the skid plate on right away. It is easier to get the arm in place and then come back the bolt out, then put the skid plate on. That way we're not juggling the install of 2 things at once. So we'll go ahead and just pull this bolt out. Got our skid plate here. Got that in. And then we will have to line up this tab on the outside, or the inside, I should say, to the tab on the, or the cutout on the lower control arm bracket here. And we do have to fish one more nut plate right into there. Very easy to do. Right through that same access hole that the factory provides us. All right, good there. And then we'll just swing this skid plate up. And we're good. All right, everything's installed, everything's got the hardware installed, everything's good to go there. We are going to make sure and go through absolutely all of it and make sure that everything's torqued to spec. Everything can be done on the lift, or jack stands, whatever you're using, except for the rubber bushings. We do want to make sure that we're on the ground, weight on the vehicle, weight on the suspension before we torque down those rubber bushings so that we don't preload once we get the weight of the vehicle on them. Hey guys, we got the JT rear long arm install all finished up. We've road tested, we've retorqued all of our hardware. Now we're just doing a little bit of flex in front of the shop here just to see what we accomplished. Oh, while we're flexed out here, we can double check our clearances, we can double check our geometry. Everything is looking good on here, and we got the result we were hoping for. Would you just look at it?